Hey Ed, I'm just sitting here where I get most of my great ideas, and it occurs to me that VinWiki is all about epic stories, SWAE is all about epic dreams, and Lamborghini makes an epic vehicle. So what do the three of those put together deserve? They deserve an epic idea. If I were given the opportunity to purchase this car for $35,000, I would be able to fulfill a lifelong dream of being the first person to drive around the world in a Lamborghini, all while collecting other epic stories and raising money for a great cause. So what's better than an epic idea? How about an epic plan and the means to execute it? Let's go. First off, I'd fly from Kansas City to Atlanta, where I'd shower Ed in $35,000 in cash before hopping in the Lambo and heading back to Kansas City via Chattanooga, Nashville, Louisville, and St. Louis. Once we're back in Kansas City, we would take the car to our local shop, get a clutch snap, check to see what it would take to get the top working and the heat working, and otherwise brakes, tires, everything else that we would need to set out on a very, very long trip. Once the car was good to go, we'd hop on 35 North and head for Des Moines. From Des Moines, we'd go to Chicago, then Indianapolis, then Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, before finally landing in New York City. Once we've spent the day in New York City, we'd put the car on a boat and off it would go to Bantry, Ireland. 27 days later, we and the car would arrive in Bantry, Ireland. From there, we would drive up the coast of Ireland through Limerick to Galway, across to Dublin. Once we arrived in Dublin, after spending a little time there, we'd take a ferry over to Liverpool, continuing our journey across the UK from Liverpool to Manchester to Birmingham, down to Cardiff, over to London, and of course, don't forget the Cliffs of Dover. After we've seen the Cliffs of Dover, then it's through the tunnel over to Calais, France. Once we get out of the tunnel at Calais, we're going to head south through Paris and then along the coast through Nantes, Bordeaux, and then into Spain, stopping at Bilbao, then crossing into Portugal to Porto and Lisbon before we cross back into Spain. Once we cross back into Spain, we'll be headed for Seville. Now, every pin on this map is a stop, and every stop will be spending at least a half a day visiting the sites and talking to people as we go. Seville is a very special stop, as we will be visiting the Mura Ranch, home of the Mura Fighting Bulls. The Mura Fighting Bulls are direct descendants of the Gallardo Fighting Bulls. These bulls represent the soul of this automobile. When we're done at the Mura Ranch, we head north through Madrid to Barcelona, and then along the northern coast of the Mediterranean through France, visiting Montpellier and Nice. Into Italy, we'll stop at Genoa to get some salami, and then we head for the Lamborghini plant itself, the birthplace of this car. This is the second very special stop on our tour. While in Sant'Agata Bolognese, we'll visit the Lamborghini Museum as well as tour the Lamborghini factory where this car was built. After Sant'Agata, we head south through Florence to Rome. At Rome, we'll stop at the Vatican and have the car blessed for the rest of our journey. Once the car has been blessed at the Vatican, we'll head back north up the eastern coast of Italy through San Marino, Venice, and Milan, before crossing over into Switzerland and heading for Zurich. After a short time in Zurich, we'll head to Munich, and then we'll cross over into the Czech Republic to Prague, before crossing back over into Germany to arrive at Berlin in time for the Wacken Music Festival, which is Europe's largest heavy metal music festival. After the Wacken Music Festival, we head east from Berlin into Warsaw, before turning north through Lithuania to Riga, Latvia, and then to Tallinn, Estonia. Now at this point, some of you may be asking, why did I choose the stops that I chose? If you've been paying attention, you may notice that a lot of these stops correspond to locations of Lamborghini dealerships in Europe. These cars require oil changes every 3,000 miles and probably a new clutch every 10 to 20,000 miles, depending on how the car is driven. This trip will probably require no less than 10 oil changes and anywhere from 1 to 3 clutch changes. From Tallinn, we head east to St. Petersburg, where we hop on the Trans-Siberian Highway, going from St. Petersburg to Moscow. Moscow is our last Lamborghini dealer before we cross all of Siberia. Once we leave Moscow on the Trans-Siberian Highway, it will take us an estimated 90 hours of driving to get from Moscow to Irkutsk and then down into Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia. After that, it's south out of Mongolia into China, where we stop in Beijing before heading south into Shanghai. Once we hit Shanghai, we'll put the car on a boat and sail it across the Pacific to Los Angeles. 2 months later, we hope to meet the car in Los Angeles, taking it on our last leg of our journey up through Las Vegas, into Utah to Salt Lake City, across Wyoming to Cheyenne, down into Colorado, stopping in Denver, and then across Nebraska to Omaha before finally coming down I-29 and back home to Kansas City. All right, so arguably not my best voiceover work, but you get the idea. Like I said, every pin on the map is a stop, and every stop is a story, but not just my story. We're going to invite other people along for each leg of the trip, and we're going to get their stories as well. Also, everybody we meet is going to get a chance to sign the car, adding their mark on one of the greatest automotive stories ever told. I also plan to use this trip to raise money for the Pediatric Diabetes Clinic at Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. This clinic has helped countless children, like my son, learn to live with this lifelong disease. We'll make it kind of a drive-a-thon, if you will. Now I know these cars. I know that they alarm after 2 hours of continuous driving. I know that they get about 10 miles to the gallon. And I know that they eat clutches if you don't drive them right. Also, remember, this being my lifelong dream, I have the money put away to do this trip. Multiple clutch changes, 10 oil changes, roughly 3,000 gallons of gas, multiple sets of brakes, plus import duties for each country, country-specific insurance, and everything else that goes with a trip like this. I know what to expect. So Ed, SWAE, sell me this car with its sordid past, and I'll take it and make it into a legendary one. If this goes through, and I make it to the final round, this is going to go to a vote. And I don't have a huge YouTube channel. I don't have any YouTube channel. So I don't have a base of followers that I can compel to go out and vote for me. So I'm going to have to resort to something a little more old-fashioned. Bribery. So here's what I'll do. If you vote for me and I win, then I will pick 2 names at random from every one of those voters, and those 2 people can join me on the leg of their choice on this journey, all expenses paid. So go out there and vote for me and join me on this trip.